Yo, we finally know the reason why the world's largest bank has been attacking strategy and Bitcoin this past week. It's a lot more insidious than we thought. It was, I would say, on the verge of Machiavellian, some 4D chess type of stuff. JP Morgan has partnered up with BlackRock, officially launching a new Bitcoin product that's essentially competing with Michael Saylor's 2025 Bitcoin playbook. What's really interesting on the same day, they also released a new Bitcoin price predicting 240,000 Bitcoin. Did JP Morgan just cancel the bear market to really pump their bags? I think that's the question of today. But I kind of want to go down memory lane a little bit. And of course, I'm joined here with my legendary co-host, good friend, and business partner, Optimus Fields, co-founder of Simply Bitcoin. And I will say, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're here drinking some Bailey's equivalent, having a good time. We're working for you guys on Thanksgiving. You can't really blame us. But what I'm really saying is, like, holy effing cow. Like, we went from Monday thinking that, wow, Jamie Dimon was like doing this with his fingers and he was twirling his mustache. He doesn't even have a mustache, but a figurative mustache. And he was like, okay, I'm going to take down MicroStrategy. That's not at all what he was doing. What he was actually doing was he was fighting strategy while simultaneously coming up with a strategy equivalent product, which tells me a couple of things, because you got to look at the buried lead here. The buried lead here is that he's confirming that Michael Saylor's thesis is correct. That's the alpha. That's the effing signal right there, ladies and gentlemen, because he wouldn't be doing this if he didn't think that strategy's playbook had long-term viability. Number two, he sees strategy as a long-term threat. You don't have JP Morgan reacting the way they reacted. And of course, we have all the receipts for you guys. You guys know the deal here by now. He wouldn't be reacting this way if he didn't believe that in 10, 15 years, strategy's playbook and thesis was correct. Because if Michael Saylor's correct, he will be the richest man in the world or the second richest man in the world. If Elon's thesis about these autonomous AI-powered robots plays out, I'm very, very bullish on Tesla long term. And I know Opti is going to be very, it is called the Optimus robot, right? So I understand why Opti wouldn't like it. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that with Saylor's current position as market leader with 650,000 Bitcoin, and I think the second largest treasury company is like Mara and 21, and they have like 50,000 Bitcoin. For them to catch up to strategy is just it's a monumental effort, right? So strategy has this like first mover advantage. Now, if you're one of the traditional banks and you're looking at strategy, the way that I would look at strategy is like strategy is basically a even though the Federal Reserve is non-government entity, but the way that I would look at strategy is I would say, oh my God, this is like a non-sovereign private Bitcoin central bank. That's right. I said it, Opti. I said it. I have no shame right now. My filters are not filtered. So the point I'm trying to say is, like, this is crazy what just happened this past week. This is wild. This is bananas, because like essentially they try to trip up MicroStrategy, shorting the stock, getting all this FUD. The Bitcoin price went down to 80K. And then they're like, hey guys, we actually have a better Bitcoin product. Yeah, that's crazy. So what am I talking about? Let's check out this Yahoo article. JP Morgan structured notes offer potentially massive returns if Bitcoin surges by 2028. Now that makes no effing sense. Think about that for a second, right? On Monday, they were fudding the market. They're trying to make the market go down, because whether you like it or not, MicroStrategy or strategy, it's not called MicroStrategy anymore. Strategy acts as like a proxy for the Bitcoin price in the traditional finance and the financial markets. So if you're shorting the hell out of strategy, the Bitcoin price is going to go down along with it. That's just going to happen. And then simultaneously on November 25th, they come out and saying, hey guys, actually, if Bitcoin surges by 2028, which is a high likelihood, if we're being honest and sincere here, you're actually going to make a shiitake ton of money, right? Like that's what's going to happen, right? So let's take a look at some of this article. JP Morgan Chase has filed with regulators for a leverage product that would allow investors to bet on the future price of Bitcoin and potentially earn uncapped returns if the price of BTC falls by late next year, but then soars by 2028. Now, think about that for an effing second, all right? Think about that for a second. So it kind of makes sense, right? Why they were fudding MicroStrategy, why they're fudding Bitcoin. It works so good that we went down to 80 effing K, right? You know, me and Opti are divided on this. I still think we're going to have not a crazy bear market. I don't think we're going down 80%, 70K. I could be 70%. I could be wrong here. I just don't foresee that happening with the amount of institutional interest. But I still am on the fence of like, I've felt this feeling before in terms of my last bear markets, 2018 and 2022. And I'm feeling that feeling. Opti disagrees. Opti still thinks we still have gas in the tank. We shall see. This is not a speculative chart boy type of show. This is more of like a culture type of vibe show / entertainment show. But this is nuts. This is crazy. You know, it's so interesting to me because I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's a good buddy of mine, man. And he worked in the traditional markets. And I'm like, dude, they're manipulating the price of Bitcoin. And he's like, bro, that's some weak sauce type of shiitake, Nico. Like, what are you talking about? They're manipulating the type of, dude, Wall Street, this is how Wall Street operates, bro. This is not manipulation. This is their normal course of business, right? Like, what? Get this manipulation stuff out of, they're trying to shake you out of their bags, shake you out of your bag so they can buy your Bitcoin. Like, it comes down to that. Like, welcome to Wall Street capitalism, if you even call it that.
Welcome to the adults table.
Right? Welcome to the adults table. Exactly. So anyways, this is a Monday filing with the SEC from the top bank shows that the proposed leverage product in the form of a structured note would allow investors to bet big on the leading cryptocurrency via the BlackRock ETF. The financial instrument has some quirks, however. According to prospects, if the price of Bitcoin ETF is equal to or above the set price by December 21st, 2026, then JP Morgan Chase will call the notes, providing a payment of at least $160 per note. Excuse me. But if the price is below that mark in a year's time, then the notes will keep riding until 2028. In that case, if the product is approved by the SEC, of course, investors would be able to earn 1.5x returns on whatever gains the cryptocurrency makes by the year 2028, potentially clearing the way for massive rewards. JP Morgan called the potential return uncapped, which means if Bitcoin soars to new highs by 2028, which means the ETF share price would follow suit, then the amplified gains could be sizable indeed. But if Bitcoin price crashes hard by 40% or more, then investors would lose a substantial portion of their initial investment, according to the filing. Big risk, big reward, or loss. Quote, Bitcoin has historically exhibited high price volatility relative to more traditional asset classes and has experienced extreme volatility in recent periods and may continue to do so, which may increase the volatility of the fund, the filing notes. That's some sketchy ass type of wording. So again, if this product was released in a vacuum, in and of itself, I wouldn't be suspicious. I would be. It's not suspicious is the incorrect word, because I think we all have to put our big boy pants on now, or big gal pants, and understand that this is Wall Street's game now. Bitcoin is Wall Street's game now. Like, this isn't what we're used to, which is this retail driven type of market. This is not the situation anymore. So now you have professionals. Now you have people, the wealthiest, smartest. There's a reason it's called smart money, right? Firms in the world that are behind these banks, are behind these products. And when they release this type of product, you got to ask yourself, okay, so it's big reward. There's the carrot. But if it goes the other way, they're like, you know what? You took the risk, man. Like, you took the risk. That's on you. Like, we told you so in the small letters, and you guys decided not to. Like, that's not our fault. So this is what's happening. Wall Street is getting into the Bitcoin game. The market is fundamentally changing. I can say for a fact, I'm very confident. You know nothing for a fact. None of this is financial advice, but I'm very confident from like a gut instinctual feeling that I think the Bitcoin markets have fundamentally changed since the introduction of the Bitcoin BlackRock ETF in January of 2024. I think the markets have changed. I think that it's just a different ball game now. And now you have the professionals, because that's what they are. The professionals entering in, and they're seeing all these wealthy ass retail people that got filthy rich during the last pumps, right? And I think they're like, I'm going to take this kid's candy. I'm going to take this retail kid thinks he knows what he's doing. Okay, you bought Bitcoin 300K, good for you. I'm going to shake you out of your bags, bro. I think that's what's happening. So anyways, moving on to this next piece of source material. Here's Adrian, part of Bitcoin for Corporations. Says the timeline of the MSTR hit job is complete, and it all makes sense now. JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley are launching leverage Bitcoin ETF products. The connection, who is MSCI, Morgan Stanley Capital International. The play, the index threatens to displace their competitors, MicroStrategy and Metaplanet, and the banks file products to capture displaced capital into the BlackRock ETF. The updated timeline, Jim Kanos announced his long BTC short MSTR trade, a blatant attempt to sway market sentiment. July 7th, JP Morgan implements a firm-wide margin hike on trading MSTR, 50% to 95%. August 29th, JP Morgan releases a fact sheet and a preliminary pricing supplement for leveraged products linked to the BlackRock ETF. September 12th, Metaplanet announces a capital raise. MSCI panics, realizing more companies are adopting the Saylor playbook at scale. MSCI announces an extension of its ongoing consultation with the investment community exactly 16 minutes before President Trump's tariff announcement that triggered the global flash crash. This is bonkers. Holy cow. October 14th, 4 days later, Morgan Stanley, the creator and former parent of MSCI, files with the SEC for a contingent income auto callable security linked to the BlackRock ETF. November 14th, JP Morgan files for its own BlackRock ETF structured note. November 20th, the so-called kill shot on the exact same day. Again, there's no conspiracies, but there's also no coincidences. JP Morgan releases, quote, the free writing prospects to sell its BlackRock ETF note. JP Morgan dredges up the 42-day-old MSCI note to scream delisting risk. Present day, we still see reports of frozen strategy shares out of JP Morgan and failure to deliver spikes in strategy. They aren't protecting you from risk. They're trying to kill strategy to engineer a migration to their products for Bitcoin leverage exposure. Holy effing cow. The Thanksgiving day is the wildest one. And I'm here with my boy drinking Baileys. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. But this is some crazy. Remember on the Monday show, you guys were all commenting. You're like, yo, Nico's is passionate, feels good about this. He's like, he understands it. This is some movie level crazy financial type of warfare shenanigans. And I'll tell you what, if I were to pick between Team Jamie Dimon and Team Saylor, I'm on Team Saylor every day of the effing week. Now, is that a supplement to spot Bitcoin in self-custody? No. I think that's the revolution for individuals. But whether you like it or not, as Jeff Booth says, the thing about Bitcoin is that you're going to have to be okay with even your worst enemy using Bitcoin. Now, that's not to say that JP Morgan or Saylor are enemies, but that's to say that there is an inevitability of Wall Street wanting to benefit from NGU technology. Now, what's really crazy here is that Wall Street right now, specifically the largest bank in the world, or one of the largest banks in the world, is like, you know what? I really like what Saylor's doing. We actually want to benefit from that the most, which is, and then they're willing to FUD and crash the Bitcoin price. And according to this timeline, they're willing to use their connections at the White House to get as many people into their product versus the strategy product, which is just wild. Here's Mark Moss, and he says, looks like JP Morgan likes Saylor's model. Give investors a safer, less volatile return on Bitcoin, capping the upside, even the downside, while they capture the bulk of the move. Here's Adam Livingston. JP Morgan just admitted Bitcoin won. JP Morgan just filed structured notes tied to BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF with leverage upside, conditional early call, and multi-year convexivity exposure. To decode this, you need to understand what banks actually use these notes for. This is JP Morgan selling convexivity on Bitcoin into institutional demand while hedging the other side internally. This product shows JP Morgan believes Bitcoin is too big to ignore and too profitable not to financialize, which I said in the very beginning. Here's TFTC. And they say JP Morgan goes from attacking Bitcoiners to declaring Bitcoin a macro asset class in the span of a week, which is what we told you guys on Monday. On Monday,
Nico, I think it's totally worth to read this paragraph, because I mean, I'm going to take a victory lap on this one, but read the paragraph and then we'll talk about it.
Excuse me. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Crypto is emerging as a tradable macro asset class. Crypto is moving away from resembling a venture capital style ecosystem to a typical tradable macro asset class supported by institutional liquidity rather than retail speculation. In the early stages, crypto projects received large private rounds of funding, and few were structured to trade in a liquid, scalable way, with retail investors buying late after valuations had already risen sharply. Retail investors' participation has fallen, and the space now depends more on institutional investors to stabilize flows, reduce volatility, and anchor long-term prices. Cryptocurrencies still present investing opportunities as they are relatively liquid yet structurally inefficient, and liquidity remains uneven, resulting in large price fluctuations. Cryptocurrency prices are now more influenced by broader economic trends rather than crypto's predictable four-year halving cycle. The process where the rate of new supply of Bitcoin is cut in half and followed by a bull market rally. One speaker noted that it could potentially reach $240,000 over the long run, thus indicating it is a multi-year growth play. That's right. You have JP Morgan basically admitting, if you read between the lines, that, hey, I think the four-year cycle is over. It's over, dude. It's over. But this has been an incredible week. Holy cow, all the things that have happened on Monday. We thought, oh my God, Jamie Dimon, he's pulling out his knives. He's threatened by the price of Bitcoin. No, we underestimated him. What were we thinking? What were we thinking? This guy's a capitalist. He doesn't take any of this personally. He's not ideological for him. He's thinking, how do I get rich with this thing? And strategy could potentially be a roadblock for my bank or the bank that I represent to get wealthy off of this. So how do I make sure that I FUD the shiitake out of strategy to get people to buy the JP Morgan product? Now, to add Simon Dixon's take on all this, to like kind of wrap it up and put a nice bow on top, I would say that fundamentally, the way that Simon Dixon says, I forget what his exact term was, but it's essentially like these are financial industrial.
It's a financial industrial complex.
No, financial industrial complex and financial
like weapons of mass.
Exactly. So like
financial destruction.
Simon Dixon calls it weapons of like
financial destruction. Or
is weapon. Basically, this all represents
it's the proof of weapons network.
Yeah, the proof of weapons network, and then this represents the financial industrial complex, right? Which is inherently anti-Bitcoin, by the way. But the thing is, we would not be doing our jobs if we weren't covering this, because if you are to get anything from this, and our audience is not sophisticated institutional investors, I'm pretty sure that there's a percentage of you guys that watch us, for that. But our audience is Bitcoiners. And what I would want you guys to take from this episode is what Adam Livingston said, and the conclusion that I came up with when I was reading this. This is JP Morgan. More importantly, this is Jamie Dimon admitting that Bitcoin is here to stay. This is Jamie Dimon admitting that number go up technology is too irresistible to ignore. This is Jamie Dimon admitting that Bitcoin has won. Now, what I'll tell you guys is you still have a job to do, because fundamentally, this is a revolution of individuals. This is a revolution of millions upon millions of people all around the world. Everyone who's tuning in right now to the most watched Bitcoin Daily show on planet Earth. This is a revolution of you guys. This is a revolution of you guys taking sovereignty back, putting Bitcoin into self-custody. This is what it is fundamentally about, and don't let any of these Wall Street financial shenanigans distract you from the mission at hand. And the mission at hand is to end the tyranny of central banking. And how do you do that? You cannot do that politically. It's politically unfeasible to do it. How do you do that? You opt out. You opt out by putting Bitcoin into self-custody. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Traditional voting matters. It totally does. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. But vote with your wallet. And you vote with your wallet by taking your energy, your time, your work, your effort, and opting out of the system and opting into self-custody. So this is fun to cover. This is great. This is like the equivalent of like gossiping in terms of like, oh my God, look at what all these financial institutions are doing. But the signal here is, holy cow, dude, they like Bitcoin. They not only like Bitcoin, they want to benefit the F out of Bitcoin. They want Bitcoin for themselves. They want all the benefits from NGU for themselves. That's what's happening right now. Wall Street right now is in a civil war. Right now, Wall Street is battling it out to come up with the best financial product to offer their institutional investors so that they can, sell them a reason as to why, you should buy their product instead of just buying spot Bitcoin, whatever. People are going to do that. Not everyone's comfortable buying a BitKey, even though it makes self-custody incredibly easy. Go to bitkey.world today, use promo code simply. Not everyone's comfortable doing that for some reason. But, this is crazy, dude. This is wild. Remember on Monday, we're like, dude, like he's attacking it. He doesn't get it. Dude, we underestimated Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon.
I don't know if I did. I think you were.
Maybe I did. But Jamie Dimon is a 100% capitalist. He does not give a flying F about ideology, about the system. He cares about how do I make the most amount of money for my bank. And if Bitcoin is the mechanism of which I can do that with, so be it. That's my bit. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Cheers to my brother in arms, Optimus Fields.
This Irish cream and milk's giving me cotton mouth for sure. But anyways, I want to hit on a few things. One, I've been telling you guys this for a while. I've been calling it the billionaire FUD playbook. You can call it just how Wall Street acts, but it always happens the same way. It's the classic Wall Street playbook, especially when they get into a new asset. It's very simple. Once you spot it, you can't not see it. And I've been seeing this play out all year long. Again, it always goes into, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And it goes like this, very simple. You spread FUD, you crash the price of the asset, you scare all the plebs away, you scare all of the retail away, and then you scoop up the dip with new products. And if we didn't have this JP Morgan story of essentially, attacking strategy, or, pulling up a very old press release to kind of tank their price when they were being weak. And then literally at the very bottom of that attack, they launch a new product and you weren't aware of how this was going. Yeah, Saylor knew exactly what was going on. It's very obvious once you understand what's going on. Again, I've been calling it the Bitcoin billionaire FUD playbook. You can call it just classic Wall Street, mechanisms, but it always plays out the same way. They FUD it. They try to crash the price. They try to get people to basically sell their holdings, and then they launch a new product. If we didn't have this news story come out as it did, then I would just be speculating on it for a while, and you guys would be like, yeah, Opti literally has a 42 IQ because he's just speculating. Guys, we have literally the proof that this is what they're doing. Hence why I keep telling you, and hence why Nico and I are arguing over what the price might be. Nico's still like, it's a bear market, bro. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like a bear market. But I think what is going on is we are fundamentally underestimating the new investor here, and it's the institutions, and they understand what this thing is. Remember, this is the only year that Bitcoin hasn't outperformed the S&P 500 on a quote-unquote bull market. Bitcoin, underperformed S&P 500, underperformed gold. Usually, Bitcoin has outsized gains. What Wall Street is used to is like 15, maybe 20% tops a year. Like if you get 20%, if you get 25% gains a year, you're killing it on Wall Street. Here's all of us 42 IQ Bitcoiners just stacking, hodling, don't care about anything, just trying to accumulate and, making 5, 6, 10, 20 plus gains. You think they're coming into the space after it's their first year that they're able to get into it and not trying to get a good position and also not trying to get these outsized gains. Like it just made no sense to me. Hence why I'm like, look, I'm looking at the charts. You guys know me. I'm leaning into being a chart player. I'm like, all right, let me see if my friends have any signal in the charts right now. And if you're looking at the charts, it does look like we're entering a bear market. It does look like we might drop. I know I was trolling Nico. He said like 30K Bitcoin. I'm like, bro, you lost the plot. Like it's not going 80% down. I've been thinking it's probably going to go sideways. And this is before I had the data. I'm like, it's probably like 80-ish is probably where, the bottom of this dip is going to be. It's going to go sideways, and then it's going to start its new leg up. And then as this week progressed more, we got more information, more data that, the The whales are scooping up right now. Institutions are buying this dip up. And as much as I don't agree, or rather don't listen to what JP Morgan says, there is a kind of portion of what JP Morgan says where it's not just trying to misdirect the retail plebs. They are actually trying to give signal to their wealthier clients. So it's one of those things where, like, they tell you what's going to happen, and then they FUD it, and you kind of have to know what's the signal and what the noise is. And when I saw that screen grab, you know, who knows, 240K next year, everyone's kind of thinking the 4-year cycle's over. But the takeaway I got from that screenshot about where they said 240K is institutions are driving this market now. As we've been covering all year long, retail is dead. Retail is nowhere to be found. There's no retail interest. The Google search trends are wrecked. People probably have heard about Bitcoin. They're just not coming back into Bitcoin yet. Also, inflation's getting crazy. The economy's feeling very weak. People are feeling very poor, so they don't have extra funds to go into risk assets. Therefore, retail's been nowhere to be found. The only people in Bitcoin all year long are Bitcoiners. It's Bitcoiners and institutions. So that's been my kind of theory, my thesis all year long, even though I've, you know, very clearly been wrong about where I thought the price was going, at least in the first half. Who knows? Hey, we got December to still prove me right. But I was just watching everything I've been watching, and I'm like, yo, okay, well, there's a new investor. There's a new buyer. They're fundamentally looking at this thing different than everyone else's. They have longer term perspectives. They have, you know, very, very covert ways to get into the market, make sure they're not moving the market. And they want to acquire this thing. How do they get this from you? Is they scare you out of your bags. And I do have some data to basically show retail has been getting cooked right now. Retail is selling while institutions are buying. This is why I keep telling you, like, don't listen to what the institutions are saying. Do what they do. JP Morgan has been FUDding Bitcoin for years. And then what did they do? They're the authorized participant of the IBIT BlackRock ETF. They FUD strategy. And then what do? They basically drop a MicroStrategy copycat Bitcoin note like the same week. If you're not buying and accumulating right now, you are totally going to get left in the dust. If you are selling thinking that the 4-year cycle is going to play out, I could be wrong that the 4-year cycle is going to be still intact. But from my perspective, I think the more max pain scenario is you think the 4-year cycle is playing out, and then we rip in 2026 and you're trying to trade the tops and trade the bottoms. To me, that's too big of a risk. I'd much rather hold my coin down 50, 60%, be able to, you know, purchase more, DCA more. We have a good business. It's coming in. I have cash flow coming in. Yeah, it's going to be brutal. The last bear market, you know, almost absolutely just mentally killed me. But I think the max pain scenario right now is everyone thinking the old models are still working. And then it absolutely rips in 2026. And it's the institutions, it's Wall Street that get rich. And all of the true believers are waiting for a pullback. To me, that is max pain. As I've been telling you guys, I think the biggest attack going on in Bitcoin right now is Wall Street wants your coin. Wall Street wants to get into this. They want to insert themselves as middleman. The real war is Wall Street versus your Bitcoin in self-custody. This is what this story is telling us right now. They don't like Saylor. I mean, you could argue that they're still on the same team. They're both Wall Street, but there's still competition within this. Even though JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley are both huge banks, I know for a fact that Jamie Dimon wants to be the #1 bank. It's like the same thing. Like,
I mean,
yeah, you're a
nature.
billionaire.
It's human nature.
Exactly.
Who wouldn't want to be #1?
So they're looking at Saylor's stack right now, and they're like, okay, how can we get that big of a stack? I don't think they can, because Saylor just absolutely went bananas the last couple of years, 4 years or whatever it was, 5 years. So they're trying to figure out ways that they can acquire a huge stack. They want to essentially take Saylor out, even though they're all basically playing the same game. So play the same game. Just keep accumulating. Yes, maybe we go down. Maybe we don't. The only safe move is to acquire more Bitcoin and take it into self-custody, because as we're all watching right now, they are trying to position themselves as Bitcoin intermediaries. This is what's happening. This is the game plan right now. They want to acquire Bitcoin. The only way they can really get Bitcoin is to force you to sell your Bitcoin. So as we always say, stay humble, stack sats, but most importantly, stay solvent. That's the most important aspect of this.
I think is the most important. Cheers, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I didn't think that this type of story would break on Thanksgiving, but this is crazy. This is like some Wall Street type warfare. We have insights into it. I think Opti's commentary was on effing point, but I would say is like, guys, this is confirmation. On Monday, we thought that the system, that the biggest bank or one of the biggest one of the biggest banks in the world was still fighting Bitcoin. We just got confirmation that not only are they not fighting Bitcoin, they're actually trying to benefit from number go up technology, right?
Bitcoin's for enemies, right?
So that's effing crazy.
Close up on the drink.
That's effing crazy. So anyway, bro, it's Thanksgiving. We gotta take it easy a little bit.
Yeah, guys, this is all Nico's fault. I was sitting here like getting ready for the show. He's like, it's Thanksgiving. Let's pull out the Irish cream and get this show a little lit. I'm like, bro, I need to eat breakfast.
We got the family coming in like 2 hours, bro. Like, you know, and we're still here for you guys, giving you guys the signal, giving you guys the sauce. So
at dinner tonight, guys, I think the big bazooka for you guys is like, okay, you know, uncle, grandma, mother, brother, you've been telling me to not buy Bitcoin, to sell my stack. Well, what do you think about JP Morgan, the biggest bank in the world, doing whatever they can to acquire this Bitcoin from me? I think that's when you do, flip a couple of birds and be like, I'm buying more Bitcoin.
Smash that Bitcoin. Anyways, I do want to give a shout out, of course, to our lead sponsor. We will be giving away some sats, by the way, towards the end of the show. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned in, and we'll tell you guys what you need to do in order to get those sats. But I do want to give a shout out again to our sponsor, the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. So why do we recommend bitcoinwell.com here at Simply Bitcoin? It's an automatic self-custody Bitcoin on-ramp. What does that mean, Nico? That means that they don't hold your Bitcoin. They don't sell you Bitcoin IOUs. They don't even let you leave your Bitcoin on the platform. When you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. To get started, all you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen, check the link in the video/podcast description, and bada bing, bada boom, you're signed up to the only Bitcoin automatic self-custody Bitcoin on-ramp in the United States of America and Canada. If you're a higher net worth individual or a family office, a trust, organization, you want to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, you have to check out Bitcoin Well Infinite. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. Schedule a call today with one of their advisors, and they'll personally walk you through A to Z on how to take self-custody of your Bitcoin. Buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, and then take it into self-custody, which is the way that you should be doing it, which is what like the theme of this whole entire intro segment. So anyways, guys, go to bitcoinwell.com/simply today and stay tuned till the end of the show because we will be giving away some sats via Bitcoin Well through the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. Anyways, guys, it's going to be a fantastic show. We have tons to cover today. Happy Thanksgiving. We're going to be right back in just a little bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Stampseed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
Well, anyways, guys, we're back. We're here. It's Thanksgiving. You guys gotta Thanksgive. You gotta internalize what you're grateful for. And what I'm grateful for is StampSeed, because StampSeed allows you to stamp your seed into a plate of titanium. Like, imagine writing down your seed words in paper. That's really dumb. You want to stamp them into titanium. And you could really only do that with the StampSeed kit. So you got to go to stampseed.com today. Use promo code SIMPLY. You got 15% off anything on the store. And you can buy the StampSeed kit. It comes with a hammer, letter stamping tools, the 12-word seed plate. You can get a 24-word plate. You can customize the plate. Wabing, wabang, everything. Go to stampseed.com today. What are you waiting for? And use promo code SIMPLY. Again, get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $91,470. Block height, 925,453. Market cap, 1.83 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 6.22%. Decline from all-time high. Negative 27.5%. If you're buying Bitcoin right now, you're getting it at a 27% discount. Why are you laughing? The chat, Nico's feeling the Baileys, and then you're doing like ASMR.
I am feeling the Baileys. I'm feeling good. I'm grateful for you guys. Cheers. Boom.
Yeah, someone cut him off.
So, this is a fantastic show. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just worried it's gonna spiral very quickly.
This is not spiral, dude. We're professionals. I don't know what you're talking about. So, okay. I do want to give you guys I do want to talk about this. We talked about this yesterday. This is actually a very serious topic. So I do want to focus on this. The EU says chat control is voluntary. We were talking about chat control yesterday. So the breaking news is that chat control is back, but slightly changed. Apparently, from my understanding, it was quietly passed in the EU. Needs to be in the EU Council, needs to be discussed in the EU Parliament. Slightly changed. No backdoor for encryption. I think that's good. No forced scanning. But I think where they're getting everyone is the age verification. So I think that this is like setting a very dangerous precedent. They're saying that EU says chat control is voluntary. If you don't scan your user messages, your app will be labeled as high risk. So that's not voluntary, ladies and gentlemen. That the exact political term for that is soft power. So what is the definition of soft power? Soft power is like how the mechanism of how the social credit system works. So in China, it's not like they're coercing you into certain behaviors, but they're incentivizing you into certain behaviors. So if you speak ill of the government, you get punished, right? In terms of the social credit system. If you create an app that doesn't have chat control, or better said, if you create an app that doesn't allow the EU bureaucracy to look at everything, it's considered high risk. That is a form of soft power, right? Because on the App Store or on the Google App Store, or the equivalent of that, imagine you see an app that says high risk, like, and if you're not in the know, if you're not watching Simply Bitcoin, or if you're just a normie and you just, like to get about your life, and you're not in the know, you just not in the know, you just want to get about your day, and you see an app that says high risk, what are you going to do? You're probably going to look at that app and you're like, that's a high risk app. I don't know about that. Right. So of course, like this is called soft power. And that's exactly what they're trying to implement here. Last thing I'll say is, and again, this is all interconnected. It's not a coincidence that the digital ID, the central bank digital currency, and chat control are all being implemented in the European Union at around the same time. That's not a coincidence. What you're seeing is an attempt to coerce people into a closed system, a system of which they can control. I think it put the fear of God in them, that you saw the rise of independent media. You saw the rise of non-sovereign alternative money like Bitcoin. And I think what you're seeing is the unelected bureaucracy, what we call here in the United States, the administrative state, react to that. Like white blood cells, this is their reaction. The reaction isn't, let's pivot and like, actually, let's look within ourselves and say, you know what? We actually need to improve. No. They're doubling down. They're basically saying, we don't need to justify why you're paying these taxes. We don't need to justify why we have this unaccountable power. We don't need to justify why politicians don't have to go through quote unquote chat control, but the populace has to go through chat control. We don't need to justify any of that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to coerce everyone into using these systems so that we can control you. I'll tell you guys something. This would be something that the Soviet Union would foam at the mouth on. They would be the fact that they can even think that they can get away with this. This would be any tyrant's like dream of doing. Like the fact that this is even discussed or even like seen as feasible in these so-called liberal democracies. We played you guys a clip of the head of the EU, I forget the exact, of Ursula yesterday, right? And she was talking about, to protect democracy, we need a democracy shield. And what that democracy shield means, ladies and gentlemen, is we actually need censorship and chat control, right? Which is effing crazy, right? Because the whole point of democracy is you get people to disagree and discuss and have discussions. With these types of systems, that's incentivizing the exact opposite. Because who is to stop the party in power? This is why the First Amendment is structured how it is in the United States. It's structured the way that it is in the United States because the founding fathers had the wisdom to understand that if the government had the power to censor speech in order for them to maintain power, they will inevitably pass a law in order to do that, which is why the First Amendment is the First Amendment and not the Second or the Third or the Fourth or the Fifth. The Constitution in the United States is structured not to protect the government from the people. It's structured to protect the people from the government, which is why the First Amendment is freedom of speech and the Second Amendment is the right to effing bear arms, right? It's literally saying like, yo, like we know what happens when there's too much centralization of power, right? Unfortunately, our friends across the pond don't have those type of constitutional rights and protections, and it's going down this dystopian path. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's very sad. I love Europe. I was in Europe all summer. Madrid is fantastic. Great food. I got kind of tired of the jamon serrano after a while, like after 2 or 3 weeks. But despite that, it was great. I saw a Madrid game, went to Latvia, went to Finland, spent some time in Italy, got lost in Italy. That was pretty cool, but it was nice. So I love Europe. It's dope. But like when you see this type of stuff, you're asking yourself, like, how is this improving the lives of everyday people? Because I don't see how it's improving the lives of everyday people. I see how it's like solidifying control. It's solidifying power in the hands of politicians. and at the end of the day, you know, and perhaps this is the way that you look at economics and such, and you can have a discussion about this, but like, government isn't productive. It doesn't make anything, right? Like that little like water bottle thing that they have in Europe. There's a little tab where you can't completely take off the cap. And then, like, meanwhile, on the other side of the pond, Elon is literally landing effing rockets and catching them with giant effing arms. Like, it's such a good meme because it compares and contrasts. Like, it's like you have entrepreneurs building, and then you have regulations, right? Like, it's like, what do you want? You want one or do you want the other? Like, you know, and I get there's pros and cons to two, right? To the both of them. But like, I would rather live in a society where entrepreneurs are allowed to build things. They aren't drowned in regulations, because entrepreneurs are fundamentally the ones that are driving to make society better. They're the ones taking the risk. They're the ones actually innovating. They're the ones actually building. Governments don't build anything. And better said, governments don't build anything efficiently. They do not do that. They're very, by definition, they're very inefficient because there's no price signals to government. If a government makes a mistake, no one gets fired. They don't go out of business. There is no price signals whatsoever. If an entrepreneur, if we make a mistake here at Simply Bitcoin, if we make a mistake, we've made catastrophic mistakes, but if we've made mistakes before, we will go out of business. If a government makes a mistake, they don't go out of business. Not only do they not go out of business, they stay in power. And they have a money printer behind them. There is no price signal that's telling them you are doing something wrong, because the price signals are the incentives for people to make adjustments. So that's my criticism of this chat control stuff. And last thing I'll leave it on is this post by Simon Dixon, which says, tell me another way to own your money without a bank, spend it globally without government permission, and have a fixed supply that can't be changed by a central bank. You won't find one. I've spent 25 years searching, building, and investing, and I only found Bitcoin. And he's replying to someone posting his tweet. He says, go further. Bitcoin is all bad everywhere. Even if someone wants a trustless protocol, some form of automated banking, we can do much better. And I think Simon Dixon's response to that is very powerful. And again, we believe that fundamentally here at Simply Bitcoin. Before I pass it on to Opti, guys, if you want to support the show, we are funded by our partners. I strongly suggest go checking them out. They're fantastically awesome. But you could also go to simplybitcoin.com and you can go check out our merch. It's flying off the shelves. We got like 10 orders yesterday. We only buy this merch in limited supply, right? So you want to get yours while supplies last. And we do not drop ship. So all of these we buy beforehand. We buy from a very trusted supplier here in the United States. They're a Bitcoiner. Love them. And we pay attention to details. So the tags will say Simply Bitcoin. It will say Bitcoin or slavery on the back of them. And these are the types of hoodies. You know what I'm talking about when I say this, that you wear them and you don't want to wash them because of how comfortable they are. So this is very high quality merchandise, very high quality material. And this is something that you can wear at home. This is perfect, something that you can wear on Thanksgiving if you want to flex on that uncle that is talking,
well, maybe Christmas at this point,
mad smack on you and saying, hey, I just beat you with my S&P 500 in gold, bro. And you can, proudly wear your Bitcoin merch. But anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Opti.
Well,
I've been on a soapbox, bro.
Yeah, you have. Feeling good. I'm going to add the sweeten the pot, guys. We are doing a Black Friday sale. So I believe it's 21% off, if I remember correctly. Our boy Wine's been yelling us about that. So it's on sale right now. It'll definitely be on sale for tomorrow. We might let it run until the weekend. So go get it. Anyways, going back to the, what is it? Chat control? EU chat control?
That's what they call it.
Okay. So first of all, I will caveat this where I am very proud of my European ancestry. My mother's very proud of my European ancestry, but I'm very happy to be an American because Europe is absolutely cucked. It's insane to me that the politicians out there can even get out publicly and say this stuff without people, you know, just going absolutely bananas. Like, it to me is insane. But I did randomly off topic. I watched this like reel last night on Instagram, and it was like some European, and she's like, Americans are such strange creatures. Like they're a breed of their own. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally what we are. When you look at what's happening in Europe, you're like, how does anyone with 2 brain cells, actually maybe 3,
be nice.
I'm trying. How does anyone with the same amount of brain cells that I have?
Critical thinking. Critical thinking.
Well, the question is, it seems like they've lost critical thinking. It seems like they're just hook, line, and sinker.
But I would push back against that, and I would say, Opti, like, is it like, I gotta get the Baileys out of the hold
on. Get it out of the shop by drinking.
I would push against that, and I would say, like, you know, if you take a look at this news, bro, they apparently passed this according to the sources.
Yeah, in the dead of night,
behind closed doors,
which really reminds me of you know, the Creature of Jekyll Island. It's literally the same playbook. So
like, again, like, you can't really criticize their critical thinking skills
when they don't have. Yeah, okay, true. Yeah, I agree. Okay, I agree with that. Now, the second point is really probably the most nefarious one, especially for us in America, for anyone in the first world. Obviously, I would say globally, but Europe is historically kind of a test bed for all of these really bad globalist kind of policies, projects. And so you got to think of the second order effects. If they're trying to push this through in Europe, then you better expect that they will most likely push this in a country near you, or rather in your own country very soon. If this does succeed, if they are able to essentially backdoor this policy, then you're going to see the propaganda get turned into overdrive, and they're going to be like, look what Europe's done. The US needs it. Every other country in the world needs it because they're so progressive and they're so ahead of the curve. And I think that's what Bitcoiners are fighting. Like, Jack Dorsey, for instance, with the new BitChat app, using, I forget what it is, like FM, signals so that you can, was it FM?
I think it's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Yeah. Okay. And basically, or Nostr, just like protocols that they can't shut down. Bitcoiners are actively not only worried about this type of stuff, but they're building products, building tools, so that even if you are in these countries, you still will be able to communicate. So, it is always darkest before the light, I guess, but it is a very scary trajectory that we find ourselves globally right now. And this is why I'm a Bitcoiner. This is why I believe in Bitcoin. This is why I believe that. Dude, are we drinking this whole bottle?
No, what are you talking about?
This is why I believe that Bitcoin will win. This is why I believe incentives will win. It's going to take a while because, as we see, there's still a huge lack of education. There's still a lot of people that don't even understand the problem, that don't understand what's happening in real time around them. And it's just absolutely terrifying. And of course, I would argue most of this is by design. I didn't learn any of this in school. This is all stuff I've learned outside of school. And you do have to push back against people calling you all kinds of names and saying you're wrong. Like, it's not that easy to get here. And I understand why some people kind of shy away from it. But this is, again, like, I think this is the most important thing going on in the world. Not only the freedom of money and transacting, but the freedom of information. And they do go hand in hand. I think we could all kind of agree that the internet probably hasn't really lived up to its initial kind of thought of what it wanted to be.
I think the idea of the internet has definitely lived up to it. I just think that, it's centralized AF. Like, you guys see like Twitter going down or YouTube going down or, any of these platforms going down. And it's like a friendly reminder to basically say like, hey, dude, like, I am running on Jeff Bezos' server in the middle of North Carolina. Like, like, that's literally what it's telling you. And Bitcoin doesn't go down, like Nostr doesn't go down. you know, as much as we complain about Nostr, in terms of like live streaming to it and stuff. The reality is that it's a protocol. Like, look, like ever since we've been consistently streaming on Nostr, and shout out to our friends over at Primal for hooking this up and building this on top of Primal, we literally have not had an issue one time with Primal, right? And because again, Nostr fundamentally is a protocol at the end of the day, right? You know, a lot of these entities are centralized, and you know, at the end of the day, you could say, okay, but Nico, like, what if the Primal server goes down? It's like, but you can still use another service to stream, right? You can't say that with any of the centralized platforms, and Bitcoin operates in a very similar way, where if you see PayPal go down for whatever reason, I've had this happen where my bank is down. Like I try to sign into my bank, and I personally, guys, I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this, but I'm gonna tell you guys anyways. Like I like my bank. I like some of the banks that I use in the US.
My
like,
bank doesn't like me, I'll tell you that much.
They do their job, and like I'm a fan of the product, but I log in one day, and you know, they're like, oh, sorry, the server's down. And like, that's not a big deal if it's like for a couple hours, right? It's not a big deal if Netflix is down for a couple hours, but like, imagine if like your bank is down for like a week. Like that would be a problem. Like you can't make payroll, you can't make payments, you can't access your money.
At 3 days, like things would get crazy.
At 3 days, that things would get crazy, right? So this is what we're talking about, right? At Bitcoin, you fundamentally don't have to ask for permission. I think that's what makes it awesome. All right, guys. So we're gonna hit the news segment. We're gonna be right back in just a bit.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
All right, everybody, we are back. Happy Thanksgiving. You're listening to Simply Bitcoin Live, the most watched and popular Bitcoin daily live show on planet Earth. If you guys are enjoying Simply Bitcoin, smash that like button, share the show with your friends. Really helps with the algos. But I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the BitKey. The BitKey is literally the easiest hardware wallet to use on planet Earth. All you got to do to spend is you put your finger It senses your fingerprint. You tap it with your phone. You download the BitKey app. Bada boom, bada bing. You're ready to spend your Bitcoin. It has multi-sig built into the hardware wallet, and it also has inheritance planning as well. So go to bitkey.world today, and if you use promo code SIMPLY, you'll get a nice discount. So anyways, guys, let's get into today's news. Again, I think we have a clash of the old world and the new world. The big news for today is the S&P cuts Tether stablecoin rating to weak on disclosure gaps. The S&P Global downgraded its Tether rating, the world's largest stablecoin, on Wednesday, citing an increase in higher risk assets in its reserves and, quote, persistent gaps in disclosure. Tether said it, quote, strongly disagrees with the characterization presented in the reports by S&P, which said that it is now rated the company's token known as USDT as, quote, as 5 parentheses weak, which is the lowest possible score, downgrading it from 4 constrained. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. I think that's utter bullshit. And I'll tell you why I think that's utter garbage. Here's this Yahoo article. Tether bought 26 tons of gold in Q3. Just to kind of give you guys a perspective, that rivals, at the end of September, the USDT issuer held around 116 tons of gold in total. If it were a central bank, Tether's gold reserves would rank among the top 30 in the world, ahead of Greece, Qatar, and Australia. So when I hear this type of characterization and narrative from the S&P, basically saying, oh my God, like, you know, what, to use their own words against them, persist in higher risk assets in its reserves. If it literally has more gold reserves than most central banks on planet Earth, like, I'm sorry, that's BS. And I think that there's a hidden agenda here, and I think that there is a hidden incentive here, and it's just, you know, again, this is the old system clashing with the new system. This is why JP Morgan attack strategy. This is a reactionary type of article, and of course, they're using the legacy media a complex in order to get you to convince you to believe into this narrative, to buy into this narrative. But I don't buy into this narrative. I think the reason that they're trying to sell this narrative is the fact that this is a company that's run by Bitcoiners, and they control and they founded the largest digital dollar on the face of the planet, which happens to be, by the way, one of the largest treasury buyers on planet Earth. So when I see the S&P downgrade him to their lowest possible rating, I'm sorry, but I call BS. This is politically motivated. I just don't believe you guys. And by the way, this is the same S&P rating and the same people that were telling you that Bear Stearns was fine and it was working and it was fantastic. I really recommend you guys watching The Big Short if you guys don't understand the reference. This is the same rating. This is the same people that are telling you, Tether's a problem. Well, they're telling you Bear Stearns is fine and literally the stock collapsed to zero, right? I'm sorry. You're politically compromised. You have an agenda, and you just don't like Bitcoiners. Like, that's what I think. My humble opinion. Here's Jeff Park. He says Tether is the largest independent holder of gold bullions outside of central banks and doesn't have an ever expanding budget deficit. Call me old school, but sounds like a AAA credit to me. Here is Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO of Tether of Rumble, and he says the S&P only attacks Tether because Tether is challenging and beating the old financial guard at their own game. These old corporate entities cannot handle companies like Tether and Rumble taking their market share. Their only recourse is to attack us because they're losing. I completely fundamentally agree. Here's the Tether CEO, Paolo Arduino, which I interviewed. Guys, really recommend checking out the interview. One of my favorites. And he says, to S&P regarding your Tether rating, we wear your loathing with pride. The classical ratings model built for legacy financial institutions historically led private and institutional investors to invest their wealth into companies that, despite being attributed investment-grade ratings, collapsed, pushing worldwide regulators to challenge such models. The independence and objective assessment of all major rating agencies. The traditional financial propaganda machine, I didn't say it, is growing worried when any company tries to defy the force of gravity of the broken financial system. No company should dare to decouple itself from it. I didn't say it. Tether itself built the first capitalized company in the financial industry with no toxic reserves, and yet is and remains extremely profitable. Tether is living proof that the traditional financial system is so broken that it's becoming feared by the emperors with no clothes. And kind of connect that with the theme of today's show. We started with this very kind of insidious attack by JP Morgan flooding Bitcoin on Monday, then launching a Bitcoin-related product 2 days later. And then you have the legacy financial media saying, hey, Tether is a terrible company. But if you look at the data, Tether is literally the most profitable company by employee on planet Earth. It has more gold reserves than most central banks. I'm sorry. I don't believe the BS. I don't believe the narrative. I don't believe the same people that told me that Bear Stearns was great and fine and dandy and had a good rating, and while simultaneously a couple days later its stock literally went to zero. I'm sorry. I'm one of the people that were part of the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation that got screwed over by you guys in 2008. I don't believe you anymore, which is why I'm in Bitcoin in the first place. So go F yourselves. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to pass it on to Opti. What do you think? Because I think this is politically motivated garbage. That's what I think, man. And there's a lot of things that Paolo said in his post that I don't feel like I have the liberty to say myself, but he's saying the quiet part out loud. He's calling it propaganda.
It's totally propaganda, 100% propaganda. I'll say that. All right, let's just fact check here. What have we seen this year? Tether, again, you guys may not like stable coins, but Tether is a Bitcoin company. They're all Bitcoiners. They are, currently the biggest buyers of gold. They're one of the biggest treasury buyers, and they have one of the biggest Bitcoin reserves in the whole world. So they're top three, essentially. Yeah, I wouldn't say top three per se, but they're in the top of the quote unquote hardest, soundest money in the world by any metric. Whether you're traditional finance, you think it's treasuries. Whether you're more of a gold bug, you think it's gold. If you're a Bitcoiner, you know it's Bitcoin. And what's S&P do? They downgrade them. Well, we've seen this play out before. S&P 500 also downgraded MicroStrategy. Whether you like Saylor or not, Strategy holds the most Bitcoin, period. That's their whole company strategy, is holding Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin, figuring out ways to get more Bitcoin. So we've seen these attacks happen all throughout the year. And then in a very similar grade, we've seen Moody's downgrade El Salvador. So if you don't think this is like a political attack, if you don't think this is a narrative propaganda, trench warfare, as we used to say, against Bitcoin, then you're really not paying attention, because anyone that comes close to Bitcoin, the fiat system does whatever narrative they can to keep people away from noticing what they're doing. And, one time you could say, oh, this is a coincidence. 2 times you're like, all right, it's starting to kind of seem like there's a certain bias here. By the 3rd time, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't fool me again, or whatever that quote is. So, it's becoming very obvious. And again, as Nico was saying, when you connect this to the very beginning of the story of this show with the JP Morgan stuff, it's all becoming very obvious what's going on. One, they don't want you to hold Bitcoin, but 2, they want to hold the Bitcoin. They want to be the middleman. So again, it all goes back to the very simple, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And if you are here, if you're a Bitcoiner, obviously this is just like, of course, this is what I've been doing for years now. But if you're newer to the space and you're not that hip to how these narratives work or how these different attack vectors happen, this is the episode, hopefully, that starts to open your eyes to what is actually happening. They do not want to see people hold Bitcoin. So what are they going to do? They're going to do the only thing they have left, which is sick the propaganda media wings on Bitcoin, Bitcoin companies, Bitcoiners, so that people get scared. It's called a chilling effect. If they can scare people away from Bitcoin, then they can try to maintain the power that they currently have. If that doesn't work, then the last final battle is when they fully capitulate. But I would argue that the JP Morgan story we covered earlier in the day is a full capitulation by any other name. We're already seeing this happen in real time. Wall Street wants Bitcoin. Governments want Bitcoin. The very things that Bitcoin was kind of created to fight against are now starting to embrace Bitcoin. So it's upon you, again, stack sats, stay humble, stay solvent. This is how you win. Make sure you're continuously buying more Bitcoin, taking it into self-custody, because all of the narratives are doing one thing. They're either trying to scare you away from Bitcoin and then they buy the dip and create products on the back end, or maybe they're just like creating narratives to be like, oh, now that you're doing this, maybe I need to stay away. And we've seen that happen too.
That's exactly what's happening, dude. Like they're literally, I like Paolo said it from like, it's from his words, not mine. Like this is grade A propaganda. Like this is like, I don't believe these people. I personally do like, what happened in 2008 was a crime. Like this is why Bitcoin was invented. Like what happened in 2008 was it was so damaging for the younger generations that these same institutions that are riding on the coattails of legitimacy and these emblems that have been around for so long, they're basically saying like, look, like it kind of reminds me of like legacy media, and it kind of reminds me, I'll give you guys the best example. If you guys are in the United States or in Canada, whatever, if you go on Fandango, right? If you go on Fandango and you look at the difference between the reviewer scores and audience scores, like I don't even know why reviewer scores are even a thing anymore these days. Like, in my opinion, like it should be only audience scores. Like it should be the people that are voting whether a movie is good or not. Like the reviewers were necessary in an era where the internet didn't exist, because that was the only way for someone to come up and say, okay, this is a movie worth your time. So you needed that, like, that person to review the movie. It's very similar with legacy media. Like legacy media was extremely useful when the internet was not around, because it was the only way to convey information on a mass scale. And you needed an element of trust. You needed an element of legitimacy. You needed an element of like, you know, truth. Like you needed all of those things. But in the era of social media, in the era of the internet, like the person who tells the truth is going to get the most views. Like it doesn't matter whether you have the emblem, a very official emblem and a very notable name on the back. Like look at what's happened to CNN. The CNN is a great example. Like CNN 10, 15, 20 years ago, if you tune into CNN, you're like, all right, dude, I'm getting the news. If I tune into CNN today, I'm like,
what's the propaganda wing saying to me?
Like,
what do they want me to believe?
You know, and then like Opti and I went through this when the pandemic was happening. Like it was like so crazy because like, and this was like when Simply was just beginning. Like we were like, wait a second, like how the hell are we breaking these stories before these people are? Like they have like hundreds of millions of dollars in budgets, professional journalists, and somehow like we're breaking the news stories first. and then we're getting it, and we're also getting it more accurate in terms of the the journalism and the reporting. Like, we're not professional journalists. Like, what the hell's going on there, right? So it obviously lets you to lead to certain conclusions. So I think that's the best analogy to kind of like, compare and contrast. Like, I think this S&P rating is just an attack on Tether, because Tether is crushing it. Most profitable company on the face of the planet by employee, and also, holds some of the largest gold reserves, and it's run by Bitcoiners, like,
and treasuries and Bitcoin.
and it's run by Bitcoiners. Like, yeah, I guess I wouldn't like them either if I was part of the legacy financial system, but that's just an opinion. Anyways, guys, let's get to the culture. It is Thanksgiving. We're going to try to wrap it up. We'll be right back in just a sec.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
All right, Nico. I was gonna do a normal culture today, but
It's
since
not
it's Thanksgiving,
it's not a normal culture.
I'll push that for tomorrow. So I'll save what I have for you guys tomorrow.
It's not a normal culture.
It's not a normal culture.
It's
It's
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. I think at this time, I think we did it last year. We're just gonna shoot the shit with you guys for a little bit, and then we got to get out of here.
Yeah, we literally have our families at the house.
But my sister always does this corny thing. And I always call it corny. I think I did it last year, is where Thanksgiving we sit around the table and you always say at least one thing that you're thankful for throughout the year. And you guys can drop in the chat, whatever it is. You can be serious, you can troll. But I think that'd be a good way to just wrap up today's show. So what are we thankful for this year?
I'll go first. I'm thankful for you, bro.
Oh, how cute. Go on, dude. Go. I'm not above flattery here.
I'm thankful for you, dude. I mean, like, I run this company. I wear like all the hats. I have to kind of be in the trenches of the whole thing, and producing the most amount of content. No, I'm not gonna say that, but producing as much content as we do is very difficult.
Yeah, facts.
And making a business out of it is very difficult as well. So, I wear a lot of hats. And when I initially got into Simply Bitcoin and making content, I initially just wanted to be a content creator. In my heart, I still think I do want to do that. But you get bestowed all these responsibilities. And at the end of the day, the live show is like my baby. That's like literally what's gotten us, on the radar, the Bitcoin world and Bitcoin industry, and I've had to kind of delegate it a little bit, just because of the amount of responsibilities that I have these days. And I've delegated it to Opti. I'll be honest, many times it's been rough. Many times I feel like he would have potentially gotten the channel banned. But I think after a while, I think you got you kind of found your groove, and you've lived up to the role, and to what's been expected of you. And I think you've done a great job. So the days that I'm traveling, podcasting, talking to certain people, and you guys don't see me on the show, and you see Opti's pushing the buttons, literally and figuratively. So I am thankful for you for doing that, bro. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Yeah, guys, I'm the one to blame for most of the stuff. Okay, you guys yell at me about the thumbnails, the titles, dude. It's all me, guys. I've been letting Nico take the heat for that. It's all it's all me. No, Nico, thank you, man. I appreciate that. This year has definitely been one of those building years for us. I haven't taken a break all year. It's been super hectic. Of course, the price has been wrecked. The news sometimes have been slow, but what I'm most thankful for, obviously, on the one hand, it's Nico as well for initially taking kind of the chance with me and then throwing me into this position. On the other side, it's really every single one of you guys. You guys, like the fact that we've built this company, this show, the as I like to joke with you guys, the cult following out there. Like I said it last week when I came back from the mining disrupt, and I'm most thankful for all of you guys that are out there that are literally helping us, build this dream job, but also kind of the feedback loop, the positive feedback loop within you guys, that you guys, when you come up to us and you're like, dude, you guys are killing it. I love Rustin when he goes bananas. I love Dante. I love when Nico gets crazy eyed. I love Opti joking, like your macro takes. And that's the stuff that keeps us going, because we forget that there's real people out there. To us, it's just kind of numbers. We're literally sitting here looking into cameras, just talking. And so
we see thousands of people that are tuning in, but we don't know what that means, right? So the only time we ever experience that in meet space is when we go to conferences and we have people come up to us and they're like, hey, can I take a picture with you? And it's oh wow, what we this is crazy. But
they're saying drunk bro love is the best love. It's Thanksgiving, guys.
The Roman, I don't know about drunk, bro. I don't know about that, but the Romans have and I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But the point I'm trying to make is that we don't know, we don't see the reality of what our audience is, because it's all digital, right? So could you guys imagine what 50 people in a room is like? It's a lot of people, right? So in my mind, I'm can you imagine what and some of our videos get hundreds of thousands of views, so that's could you imagine what 1,000 people in a room would be like? Literally 1,000 people in a room. It's a lot of effing people. It's a lot of people. And these days, that's what our live streams get. So but we don't see that. We don't know what that means. We don't have a human indication of that. What we see is numbers on a screen. So, obviously it means a lot. Again, our we're really thankful I'm very thankful for our partners. That's another one.
Facts.
Very thankful for our partners, because they're the ones that keep the lights on.
I do like the lights.
So, I want to give a shout out to, Bitcoin Way, Ledin, Bitcoin Well, BitKey,
Stamp Seed, Sat123, Bitcoin Ben,
but love Bitcoin.
Saz.
I love all of them. Bitcoin Ben, Saz. We would not be on air without our partners. So I think we're missing a couple. So HIVE, of course.
HIVE.
I we would not be on air without you guys. So we're very, 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 very thankful for all you guys. And Mining Disrupt, again, big Bitcoin Ben. Yeah. So very, very, very thankful for all you guys. Would not be on air without you guys. We would not be on air without our audience. So thankful for you guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in every single day, making our dreams come true, making this live show keep going. It's been 5 years since this show launched, which is pretty crazy to say. When Opti joined, we decided to take it live. It was an experiment at the time. It turned out to be a very good idea. But
you could say I was right. You could say I was right.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And here we are many years later, 5 years since Simply's founding, and hopefully we'll be here 5 years from now. But
yeah, here's to at least one more year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully another 10.
My mind is I kind of take it day by day, and let's see what happens. But yeah, guys, we really appreciate you guys tuning into the show. We love you guys. We appreciate you.
Maybe we should be thankful for Bitcoin as well.
I'm thankful for Bitcoin. I'm thankful for.
I mean, not for this year. This year's been kind of mid, but hey, there's still time left in the year.
I think you just have your expectations too high. I think we're in a bear market.
I think we're still ripping.
Maybe. Anyways, guys, go enjoy your Thanksgiving. Go enjoy it with your family. I hope this was entertaining for you. I hope you provided a little bit of value, some sauce, some signal. Crazy stuff happening with JP Morgan and MicroStrategy, like kind of this war on Wall Street. Again, if you live in the EU, hit up your representative, tell them you're not okay with chat control. Like that sounds crazy. And again, it's, the flak is heaviest over the target when I see Tether being attacked by legacy financial kind of institutions and media. That tells me the right over the target, like the very idea that to make even an argument that it's the most profitable company on the face of the planet. They have gold reserves that compete with central banks, and to tell me that they have a solvent, it's so crazy. But again, the signal there is, it tells me that Bitcoin is winning. That's what it tells me, right? And that's what I want you guys to internalize. So whether we're heading into a bear market next year or whether we're not, no one really knows. Anyone who tells you otherwise is straight up lying. Enjoy the day with your family. Enjoy the day with your friends.
Get fat. Eat some turkey. Eat some stuffing.
And for people that don't celebrate Thanksgiving, enjoy the day regardless.
Yeah, drink some Baileys.
And we'll try to make it here tomorrow. We'll have a show tomorrow.
We'll try. I'll go for or not. We'll be here.
We'll be here tomorrow, and hopefully we'll celebrate it for you guys. But anyways, guys, we love you all. We appreciate it. White shot Opti, please. For me and Opti, all the love in the world. Thank you guys so much. Again, we wouldn't be here without you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for a brand new episode of SB Live. Take care, everybody.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.
We're still live. We forgot the giveaway. Opti's gonna
Let me turn the lights back on.
Opti's gonna turn on the lights, but yeah, we forgot the SAT giveaway from Bitcoin Well, which has happened to us a couple times. But let me sign in here. But anyways,
Have you stuck around? Free sats alert.
Free sats alert. So anyways, you guys, what?
I'm just laughing. Shout out to Psycho 05. He called us out on it, and Nico's like, let's go back.
Yeah. Let me see if I can even. There we go. No.
Maybe we did this for nothing.
I just keep spelling it wrong.
Wow.
You have a very tough name to spell. There we go. All right. So for anyone who doesn't know, every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn something called Bitcoin Well points. And you could redeem those points at the Bitcoin Wishing Well platform and UI, right? So essentially, every time you buy Bitcoin, you earn these points, and you can redeem those points towards a Bitcoin Well hoodie, a BitAxe, an orange Cybertruck, a leather mint wallet, a stamp seed plate. And the way that you redeem them is you press this little play, or sorry, you can redeem them here, but you could also play the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. Bitcoin Wishing Well contest is awesome because you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million sats every single time you play, right? So we're going to be doing that live for you guys right now. We're going to be playing the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code has won today's grand prize of 400 sats. Again, if you sign up to Bitcoin with bitcoinwell.com today by using bitcoinwell.com/simply, you get 3 tosses into the Wishing Well, and every single toss, you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million sats. But today's grand prize is 400 sats. So if you guys have stuck around for whatever reason,
Do another one.
All right, we'll do another one. We'll do 3. We'll do 3 because it is Thanksgiving. So another one, get your Lightning wallets ready. You have won 665 sats, and we're going to play it one more time. You have won 458 sats. So again, if you guys go to bitcoinwell.com/simply, you sign up and you use that link, bitcoinwell.com/simply, you get 3 tosses into the Wishing Well every single time. You're guaranteed to win, but you're also could potentially win up to 1 million sats, which is like almost $1,000 these days. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simply today. And thank you for reminding us in the chat that we forgot to do that. So anyways, guys, happy Thanksgiving. This time we're signing off. Love you all. We'll be back tomorrow, I think, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Be in a food coma.
We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody. Love you all. Peace.
Today's episode was brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.